So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to use Garageband. It's a really cool program. You can use it to record music if you have a band, or make your own songs using the looping files on there. And actually, for me, I'm using it to make radio commercials over at the Elkhart Area Career Center. So first, we're going to just do a new project, and here are all the different, different editing methods, and I could probably make a video for each one, but today we're just going to be using the loops. Okay, so let's just name it. Alright, so this is what first pops up when you open the program. It might look a little complicated at first, but it's pretty simple. Here is where you can add a new track, which is pretty much the basis of everything you do, whether you're recording or just throwing in a loop. This button brings up a fine editing tool. This is for recording piano, and you can actually select what notes you want it to play. These are just standard playback options, pretty self-explanatory. Here you have different ways of, timing and other things. So here, for example, is time. Instead of counting in beats and measures, you can just count it in seconds and minutes, which was pretty helpful for me when I was doing my radio commercial, because it had to be 30 seconds. This, I'm pretty sure, is used during recording, but I haven't messed with it, so I'm not entirely sure. This is what you use to change key signatures, but 4x4 is pretty standard, so I just leave that. Here is the tempo. You can slide that up and down to make it go slower or faster. And then this is the different key signatures, or different key notes, I guess. But I don't really mess with that because over here you have two different options, the metronome and the looping option. The metronome I find pretty annoying, so I just turn it off. It's basically clicking every time it hits the beginning of a new measure. But yeah, it's pretty annoying. This is kind of helpful. It's looping, where you highlight a certain part of it, and when you play, it will go through that part and then go back to the beginning when it reaches the end. So that's pretty helpful. And over here, you have different items, different ways of getting audio. Over to the far right are preloaded songs I've created already, but I can drag in and out if I want to, but I'm not going to. Here are different effects you can add. So maybe you want a telephone to go off during the beginning or something. Or you want a large crowd cheering during the beginning. You can add that in. And then here is what we'll be using, which is the preloaded audio files. So let's start off by throwing one on there. Let's pick orchestra. This one. That's pretty cool. Alright, so now we will find a cool beat for it. But first, we're just going to repeat this over and over again. And the way to do that is make sure it's highlighted, which it is. And a shortcut for it is Command C for copy. and then Command V for paste, and then just keep going. So there's that. Now let's find a beat for it. This one. I'll have it after the first part. Okay, so that does not sound right. That is because at the beginning of this is not the actual beginning. It's actually right here. So we'll drag that back. Alright, let's start changing things to it. One of the cool things you can do is tempo, which I think is pretty helpful if you want to shorten the entire song to fit a time limit or vice versa. And the way you do that is just go here to project and this tempo, but you want to make sure that you have a track selected and that this is check marked. Because if it isn't, it will cause some trouble for you. Trust me. I've dealt with that. So let's drag this up. We don't want it too fast, so we'll just go up to 140. See what that sounds like. Okay, so that's really fast. Let's go down to 130. Okay. Now another thing you can do is cutting. And that can be really helpful if you don't like a certain part of a file that you have. And a very broad way of doing it would say if you don't like something on the end, you could just move the mouse over to where it looks like that icon right there, and then drag over, and it will not play what was there, and it will end right there. But if you want to get fine-tuned, you can go into this part, and the top part does differently from what the bottom does. The top part is where you drag certain parts and elongate them or shorten them. And this can be helpful and sometimes it can't. The bottom part is what I use more often. It's just cutting just by highlighting and deleting. Right, it's gone. And you can get really close with this scrolling bar right here. You can elongate it. Sort of during like nanoseconds. You can get as accurate as you want. Rearranging tracks is also pretty simple. You can just drag it, and you can move it up and down. You can drag it over other files, and it will overwrite it, and it'll cut it like you saw there. So that is the basics to making a song.